It's October, and that means the leaves are turning and there are pumpkins everywhere. But around here at our office, it means it's time for the FAFSA application, and that's what we're going to talk about today. That's right, October means that the FAFSA application is open. That's the free application for federal student aid. This is the form that all incoming and returning college students will fill out, and it's a prerequisite for student aid for federal student loans, as well as grants and work-study programs. It also may be even required by some colleges before they will determine their own institutional aid that they'll offer to students. So how do you get started? You and your student will need to obtain federal student IDs or FSA IDs. You can do this right on the studentaid.gov website and just follow the instructions. Once you have this ID set up with your username and password, know that you'll use that every time you log into the system, and you're going to do this for a long time. So keep it handy and don't lose the password. The fastest and quickest way to fill out the application is just to do it online at studentaid.gov. Again, I'll put those links down below for you. When you get to that website, you'll see not only the application, but you'll also see tools, resources, and frequently asked questions to help you fill out the application. They also offer a link to the IRS retrieval system, which will help you get all your tax data directly from the IRS. I highly recommend you do this as well because it helps prevent errors and the chance that you'll have to go through the verification process later, which will only slow down your application. Once the application is filled out, know that you're going to have to do this every year that your student's in college to keep renewing the application. So again, keep that username and password handy. You're going to need it. The application itself is again free, and it should take you about 45 to 60 minutes to complete. And I highly recommend that you sit down with your student to do it at one time so that you don't have to go back later and try and find more information or collaborate to get it put together. One last thing that you'll want to do is also to gather all your documents together before you sit down. It'll just make it go faster for you. How does the FAFSA calculate financial need? The FAFSA will look at a family's income, their assets, and household information. So for example, it might be how many members are in the household or how many students are currently in college besides the current FAFSA that you're filling out. And it will use all that information to calculate what the family can afford. This is called the Expected Family Contribution, or EFC for short. And all financial aid packages are based around this number. So when counting income, the FAFSA will use information from your tax return from 2 years earlier, and that year is often referred to as the base year. So for instance, right now it's October 2021, and so we're filling out the FAFSA for the school year 2022 through 2023. But the base year that we'll look at will actually be the tax return from 2020. So essentially that base year is 2 years prior to the year that you're entering school. Also, in counting assets, the FAFSA uses the current value of your bank accounts and your savings accounts and your investments, and they will also include your child's assets. But there are some assets that don't get counted on the FAFSA, and this is a big error that I see sometimes, so watch which assets you put on there very carefully. Assets that won't count are equity in your primary home. You don't have to put that on the FAFSA. You also don't have to put down any retirement accounts that you have, such as a 401k, 403b, traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs. Those don't count either for the FAFSA, as well as annuities or cash value life insurance. You don't have to count those. And this is the other one. For those that are self-employed, you do have to report your income, but you do not have to report the value of your business unless you have over 100 employees. So be careful here too. You don't want to put any additional assets on there than what you need to count for the FAFSA. And the other thing to keep in mind is that student assets are weighted heavier or weighted more than parent assets. So a student is expected to contribute at least 20% of their assets versus where parents are only expected to contribute 5.6% of their assets. So it's also a really important thing to keep in mind when you're doing some planning. The other thing is that your EFC will remain constant no matter which school you go to. So what you may end up paying will be different, or what the university may offer may be different, but the EFC will stay the same because the difference between your EFC and the college cost of attendance equals the student's financial need. And that'll be different because every college has a different cost for attendance, but that EFC stays the same. Then once that EFC is calculated, that is what the institution or the school that you're looking to will use to try and create a package that will meet the financial need that your student has. Remember, they're under no obligation to meet that 100%, so there still might be some left over that you'll have a responsibility to pay for between you and your student. Should you file for the FAFSA even if you think your student won't qualify for aid? My answer is yes, and I have two reasons for that. The first one is all students that are enrolled at least half-time are eligible for unsubsidized federal loans. And while you may not want to take on loans, it might make financial sense to do so. Now, the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans is unsubsidized loans will start accruing interest immediately and continue to do so even through the deferment. But sometimes when you're looking at how to pay for college, this might make sense due to interest rates. So you should still keep it in your back pocket as part of your strategic plan to pay for college. Additionally, the second reason is a lot of universities, scholarships, grants, they require the FAFSA for their baseline information. So you might as well go ahead and fill it out because you're going to be asked for it later when it comes to even those programs that aren't necessarily aid-based or financial need-based, but they're based on merit. You're still going to have the FAFSA. Also, it's not important. You don't have to fill it out today, but I would recommend you fill it out this fall. Maybe even make the end of October your deadline, because the sooner you fill it out, the better. Much of financial federal aid is based on a first-come, first-served basis, as well as at universities. They'll tend to give the money out sooner rather than later. So you'll have a better chance of getting your application done and having time to answer any questions about it, as well as go through the verification process. And then secondly, you'll be in there first to get a first chance at that aid. So yes, even if you don't think you'll qualify for financial aid, it's still important to fill out the FAFSA and fill it out early. Here are some dates to keep in mind, just to recap. So as of October 1st, the FAFSA application is open and ready for you to fill it out. You have from now until February 1st to do so. Again, the sooner you do it, the better off you are in case you have to go through verification process, and it also gets it in early. Universities will take that information after February 1st, and through February and April, they will combine all that information together and send you out their offer. And this is a valuable time for you because then you can look at all the offers you've received and see which one is the best use of your financial dollars and also meets your family's needs when it comes to education. Remember, sometimes the most expensive college may not be the one that costs the most. So looking at those and comparing those financial aid packages is really important. The last date that you need to keep in mind when it comes to the FAFSA is you must accept those offers or decline by May 1st. So those are the big dates to keep in mind. You have October 1st when the application opens, February 1st to make sure it's submitted, March and April to review the packages that are sent to you, and then you must accept or decline by May 1st. After that, each university will have their own dates for when you need to make your deposit, pay your tuition, but those are the big ones for the FAFSA. I hope that information was helpful for you. If you have any other questions about the FAFSA or how to file or any comments, please leave them below and one of us will get back to you as soon as we can. Additionally, if you'd like to learn more about how to save and pay for college, please click the subscribe button, as over the next several months we're going to be putting out a series of videos that will address just that, and I would love for you to be involved and to see those. Also, if you're currently saving and you're still trying to figure out how you're going to pay for school, please click the Discovery Call button below and someone on our team would love to talk to you about how important it is to create that plan early as opposed to, say, right now when you're filling out the FAFSA. There's a lot of things we can do if we get started early on that plan to help maximize your resources and minimize your costs. So please feel free. Any one of us on the team would love to chat with you about that. So until next time, enjoy the fall weather and go get a pumpkin.